Hi, boys and girls. Today we are going to journey to Africa. Then we're going to explore its art, and finally we'll close up with a close link at a Dinkara cloth. So here's Africa. It's huge. Did you know it would take almost 365 days to drive all the way around the outside of this continent? It's true. And we are going to specifically end up looking very closely at the art right here. This is West Africa, a region known as Ghana. And I want to show you their incredible Dinkara cloth. Let's look at some African facts. Africa is so big that there is much to talk about. The African continent has the second largest population in the world. So the second largest amount of people in our entire world live there. I think it's amazing when people say, do they speak African? No, because over 1,000 languages are spoken by the people of Africa. The largest religion is Islam. However, it is followed by Christianity. And some of the oldest human remains have been found there. Some people call this the cradle of civilization. Some of their landform facts are quite fascinating too. For example, the longest river in the world, the Nile, is located in Africa, as well as the largest desert, the Sahara, which is almost the size of our entire United States. Victoria Falls is the largest waterfall, and it too is in Africa. It's so big that it's a mile wide. Mount Kilimanjaro is the highest mountain on the continent, not necessarily the tallest mountain in the world, but it towers over 19,000 feet. Madagascar is the largest island and the fourth largest island in the whole world. As I mentioned before, Africa is huge. One thing that I find interesting is that it's got the Atlantic Ocean on the left and the Indian Ocean on the right, and it straddles the equator. So therefore, you go all the way from having the Sahara Desert down to having rainforest in the same continent. The one thing that Africa doesn't have that most people get confused about is a jungle. There are amazing animals there too. Just take a look at this slide. The African elephant, the giraffe, the cheetah, the crocodile, and the gorilla. Let's travel now to look at some African art. Just like Africa itself, the art is very diverse. We're going to use this website as a way to explore 4 main common pieces, starting with Tinga paintings. Tinga paintings are actually a way of bringing to life a tale, a Tinga tale. And you see these paintings, the first thing that I notice are the colors and the exaggerated animals. This is pretty representative of African art. It's very colorful as a generalization. Moving on, now we can look at some African music instruments. They're an art form themselves. Everything from drums to rattles. Percussion is a big part of African music. And now we've got Africa's extensive collection of textiles, their fabrics. We have a Dinkara cloth, which we'll be checking out, kente cloth, which is a phenomenal accessory that's often added to the clothing of royalty, a safo, which is like a flag, a dira with its beautiful blue tie-dye, yui, and also this cloth of the Nigerian men. Something that stands out to me right away when I look at this is the pattern. All of these seem to have something that repeats, whether it be a shape, a color, or both. African masks are probably the thing that people think of first when they think of African art. But because Africa is so huge, there are masks made of different materials depending upon the region. In North Africa, obviously, they're going to have different natural resources than they would have in South Africa. But something that these all have in common is an exaggeration or emphasis on the facial features so that they have a spiritual quality or a storytelling sort of style instead of being focused on realism necessarily. It's not that African artists can't work in realism, it's that the purpose is often ceremonial. And so the spiritual aspect is being brought to life. All right, moving on just a little bit further, we're now going to look specifically at a Dinkara cloth. This is our National Museum of African Art. And this particular Dinkara cloth is made by an Asante artist of Ghana, West Africa. And it was made in the mid 1800s. And here's a close-up of what it looks like. A Dinkara cloth originally was made for funerals as a way to honor a person. And the symbols would represent traits or proverbs that they were known for representing. A Dinkara cloth is always printed with black ink, although the color in the background can vary. Originally, the fabric was reds and browns and blues, but now we see it in a lot of different colors. So notice some of the patterning that's even created by the stamp itself. This one that's kind of a crescent moon shape almost takes on the look of fish scales by the way it's been aligned. This one with kind of an X shape that's got colored in sections, they sort of make a pattern by the way they alternate it. All in all, it creates a rich tapestry of shapes that kind of draw us in and make us want to know more about the wearer. I hope you enjoyed this journey to Africa, and specifically West Africa. I know I did. In closing, I think it would be cool to look at a few of the main traits of African art. As it is bulleted here, these commonalities are pretty much standard traits of African art, whether you're in North Africa, South Africa, East, or West. African art really isn't made to be hung on a wall. African art is usually used everyday objects. And sometimes it might be not used every day, but just for ceremonies. And that makes African art truly a part of their everyday life. Sculpture is a main component of African art. One of the specialties here is working in the 3 dimensions. Typically, African art is very colorful. We saw great examples of that in the Tinga paintings. Abstract art is a style that tends to be favored or preferred. We noticed that in the masks that we looked at. Not so much an emphasis placed on realistic representation as is the emphasis on capturing a spiritual quality. And lastly, the human image, even if it is represented in more of a spiritual way, is a favorite subject. So for now, we'll say goodbye to Africa. Thank you.